I believe it was last held in 2018, so we're very happy to be here this year. In this installment of Invest Malaysia, regaining Malaysia's lead in Asia, we look forward to hearing from the Honorable Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim in his keynote address, focusing on the Madani economy framework and the supporting blueprints and commitment towards a longer-term path of economic growth and our sustainability agenda. To commence our agenda today, it gives me great pleasure to invite Chairman of Bursa Malaysia, Tan Sri Abdul Wahid Omar, to deliver his welcoming remarks. Tan Sri.
Thank you, Zana. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The Honorable Prime Minister, Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim, Honorable Minister, Tengku Datuk Sri Zafrul, Bernegara Governor, Rashid, SC Chairman, Dr. Wang Ade, Ambassador Nazri, our partners of Invest Malaysia, New York, Bank of America Securities, CIMB Group, HSBC, Maybank, and Standard Chartered Bank, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum and very good morning. And welcome to Invest Malaysia New York 2023 with the theme Regaining Malaysia's Lead in Asia. Now, it's been a while since we had our physical Invest Malaysia meeting here in New York, and it is timely that today we have our own Prime Minister to anchor this event to propel the nation's growth further. Please allow me to highlight three key areas in my welcome address. First, on the Malaysian economy, which remains bullish and notwithstanding the external challenges. Secondly, on the Malaysian capital market, which stands ready to support our revitalized economic growth narrative with particular emphasis on sustainability. And third, the investment case for Malaysia and a quick outline of today's program. Ladies and gentlemen, despite the global challenges and uncertainties stemming from various external factors, the Malaysian economy has continued to demonstrate resilience and discover new strengths. As revealed in the recent midterm review of the 12th Malaysia Plan, our real GDP growth is poised to grow at 5 to 6% between 2021 and 2025, exceeding initial projections. Now, equally notable is the fact that private consumption share and services to GDP ratio have surpassed initial targets, warranting upward revisions. And the continued revival of the tourism industry, especially in the second half of this year and 2024, the digitalization efforts and improving labor market conditions are among key supportive factors moving forward. Now, the Malaysian government's unwavering commitment to bolstering the economy remains evident through sustained investments, building new economic areas of strength, and streamlining policies to drive continued growth. One striking example of this collaborative effort is the National Energy Transition Roadmap, or NETA, which is an ambitious shift towards one of the world's fastest growing sectors. Now, the NETA is a critical milestone for Malaysia, outlining our country's path towards a brighter, cleaner, and more resilient future. It is also critical in managing the complexities of large-scale energy transitions, particularly as we transition from a traditional fossil fuel-based economy to a high-value and greener economy. You will hear more about this from our Prime Minister later. Now, the significant developments in the sustainability landscape, particularly in light of the pressing global concern on climate change, have compelled us to raise the compliance bar for our listed issuers so that they will boost their overall resilience, competitiveness, and appeal as attractive investments. Now, to drive wide acceptance and adoption of these new imperatives, Bursa Malaysia's Enhanced Sustainability Framework, introduced in September last year, aids companies in adopting international reporting frameworks and standards, including those set forth by the Global Reporting Initiative and the International Sustainability Standards Board. This endeavor will be undertaken in a phased approach, beginning with the end of this year for main market issuers and with the disclosure of common sustainability matters and ultimately culminating with the TCFD in the near term. This endeavor will be undertaken in a phased approach, beginning with the end of this year for main market issuers and with the disclosure of common sustainability matters and ultimately culminating with the TCFD in the near term. To complement these efforts, we are developing the Centralized Sustainability Intelligence Platform, or CSI platform, which is a centralized repository for ESG disclosures in collaboration with the London Stock Exchange Group. This CSI platform will enable Malaysian companies of all sizes to disclose high-quality, credible, and standardized ESG data that can be leveraged to drive sustainable practice across industries. And in addition, it facilitates the access to sustainability-linked financing, thus driving growth and Malaysia's transition to a green economy. Now, Bursa Malaysia is also facilitating Malaysia's energy transition efforts, particularly by bridging financing gaps needed for the country to transition towards net zero through the launch of our voluntary carbon market exchange that we call Bursa Carbon Exchange. And this is the world's first Sharia-compliant carbon exchange, and it's one of the key building blocks that will help finance some of the actions and investments required for decarbonization. The BCX successfully held its first carbon credits price discovery auction back in March, and its trading is set to go live early next month. Now, in championing diversity, sustainability, if it will not be complete if you don't mention about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we're proud to share that today. Women folk hold 30.6% of board seats in the top 100 public listed companies in Malaysia, and close to 25% of seats of all PLCs listed. Thank you. And these statistics, I believe, are commendable compared to many other peer markets. And moving forward, certainly promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion across all PLCs will continue to be a key agenda. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my fervent belief that today's program is a gateway to your discovery of how Malaysia's varied strengths would add up to deliver a compelling investment case worthy of your attention. Please allow me perhaps to highlight 5 of them. First is in terms of clarity in economic policies. We have the 12 Malaysia Plan midterm review, which embodies meaningful pivots in setting the course for the nation's next growth phase. It sends a strong sense of policy direction to investors towards achieving the Madani economic framework. The upcoming budget to be tabled by the Prime Minister on 13th of October will further define the short-term strategies and actions that complement these long-term goals. Secondly, in terms of new progressive policies to propel long-term economic growth, the introduction of the National Energy Transition Roadmap and the new Industrial Master Plan 2030, powered by the Madani economic framework, is spurring investments in renewable energy and other new economic sectors. Third, in terms of the new backdrop supportive of valuation to mean reversion, now based on Bloomberg consensus, the benchmark index, KLCI, is currently trading at the 2023 PE of 14.4 times. Now, if you look at our longer-term macro trajectory, is supportive of mean reversion valuations, where the long-term mean is about 16 times. Now, a valuation back to mean would imply a fair valuation of some 1,600 points for the index. Fourth, in terms of the growth outlook, which is positive despite the near-term softness. Now, we have analysts expecting Bank Negara's policy rate would have likely peaked with signs of moderating inflation alongside a stronger labor market. The electronics and electrical sector is expected to resume growth in 2024, with oil and gas prices expected to remain supported. And in the absence of a hard landing in the global growth for 2024, we believe that the Malaysian economy growth is expected to continue moving forward at the 5 to 6% level into 2030. Now, fifth, and last but not least, in terms of sustainable long-term economic performance. Now, if you look at Malaysia over the past 24 years, since 1998, since the Asian financial crisis, we've had successive growth in our economy, with compounded annual growth rate of 4.7% per annum. Now, on top of that, in terms of trade surplus, for the past 24 years, cumulative trade surplus of 2.7 trillion ringgit. And after you take into account the receivables, the invisibles, and the primary income and secondary income, you arrive at the trade surplus figure. And cumulatively, over the past 24 years, it amounts to some 1.5 trillion ringgit. Now, post-COVID, we have seen FDIs coming in for 2021-2022, some 125 billion ringgit, which far exceeds the 78 billion ringgit of direct investments abroad. Now, what I'm trying to say here is that for any economy with those kind of economic fundamental numbers, certainly Malaysia deserves good attention from the investors. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we will shortly hear from the Honorable Prime Minister, Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, his keynote address entitled Madani Economy, Malaysia's Economic Vision. And following his keynote address, we will have the opportunity to engage with the Prime Minister in a Q&A session together with Minister Tengku Zafrul, which will be moderated by our Bursa Malaysia CEO, Datuk Omar. And we will then navigate the pathways of Malaysia's macro resilience and market insights in a discussion featuring our Governor Rashid and Chairman of the SC, Awang Adik, together with Datuk Omar. And this will be moderated by Mr. Chu, the co-head of wholesale banking from CIMB. Together, they will paint a vivid picture of Malaysia's macroeconomic landscape and market dynamics, unveiling the secrets that underpin the stability and potential. And we will close our event today with Maybank Investment Banking Group's regional co-head of macroeconomics, Dr. Chua Hak Bin, who will wrap up the core of our conversations into actionable highlights that you can take forward. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, with that, it gives me great pleasure to welcome the Honorable Prime Minister, Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, to deliver his keynote address. Datuk Seri, Prime Minister.